Hi there everybody, today we are going to look at averages from grouped frequency tables. So we're going to do it in 3 stages. We're going to look at the mean, then we're going to look at the mode, and then we'll look at the median. Or probably the way around, I think it's mean, median and mode. To start with, we're going to look at estimating the mean. The reason we're saying estimating the mean is because our data is grouped, we can't have an actual answer because we don't know all the numbers are that we're given. We just know that it sits within a specific range. So if you're asked a question which asks you to estimate the mean, then this is what the method you're going to kind of do. So we can't look at the actual value, so we're going to look at the midpoints. All right, so let's look at an example so you understand what I'm going to do. And this is a process. It is something you just need to kind of follow through step by step by step. And of course, the chances are, the likelihood is that it's probably going to be a calculator paper because of the complexity of the details of all the information you're going to have. Here we go. So what we've got, it looks like to me you've got someone who's passed the test or completed the test, and they've obviously got a bunch of scores, and rather than just saying marking every score specifically, what they've done is they've grouped them in tens. So anyone's got 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 30 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and so on and so on and so on, and these are their sets of results. All right, just to kind of clarify, I've mentioned it in previous other lessons, but just for those people who've maybe not seen those, just keep your eye on the inequalities in terms of what that means. Now, essentially, what we're saying between 0 and 10, you obviously got 5. But here, what that actually means is like 11 to 20. All right, so it's 11 to 20 for this purposes because it can't fit within that. All right, because it can't be 10 in that one and 10 in that one. So it's a kind of combination of the both. So if you've got 10, you're in this one, and if you've got 11, you're in this one. All right, but of course you don't know if you get 10 and a half. We don't really know. I don't know how it was kind of tested. So anyway, so because we've got here 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20, and this is the number of frequencies, well, if I was working out the mean, and if you look at the lesson in terms of averages from a frequency table, well, it's a similar kind of process in terms of we're times in 2 columns together. But of course, what I would do from a frequency table, and please look at that lesson, you'd do 5 times whatever that number was. But of course, whatever this number is a range. So we need another column which tells us the midpoints. All right, so sometimes they will give you this little box, or sometimes it'll just be empty. Other times they might not tell you anything, but this is the process you have to do. So we need the midpoint. All right, and you often get a mark for this alone, to getting the correct midpoints. So putting the numbers underneath there, hopefully you can see why they're the midpoints, because they're halfway along this lot. So between 0 and 10, 5, between 10 and 20, 15, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. All right, so they are the midpoints. Like we would do in a normal frequency table, we need to work out basically how many we've got of everything. So when we're working out the mean, we literally try and add up all the numbers we've got and divide by however many there are. All right, so the quickest way of doing that is we do 5 times however many, 5 times this lot. Or, so basically, but these results are all going to be different. And because the results are all going to be different, that's why we're taking a midpoint, because we're estimating it effectively. So we're going to do 5 times 5 as my estimate of the value of these. Okay, so we need another column which we call the FX column, which is essentially me doing that. So 5 times 5, which is 25. And then here, this is where I mentioned use the calculator. You're doing 15 times 16, which is 240. 25 times 21, which is 525. 35 times 32 is 1,120. 45 times 11 is 495, and 15 times 55 is 825. All right, so these number here, this is my estimate of all the scores added up together. All right, so all the scores between 30 and 40 all added together. Okay, so we've estimated it as an average of 35, and we literally said, well, it's 32 lots of 35, so that's them all added up together. Okay, so I need 2 sum columns. All right, well, these are the number of people who took the test. Well, I think they took the test, so I need to total that column. Right, 100 people. All right. Sometimes it tells you in the question, it doesn't in this case, but obviously 100 people took the test, and these are all their scores added together, 3,230. All right. So to find the mean, we do the total divided by however many there are. So 3,230 divided by 100, which will give us 32.3. Okay. And as always, what I normally like to do is, does that sound reasonable? It does. 32.3. Looking at these values seem like a reasonable average. Well, there's an awful lot in that group, and it's relatively evenly weighted either side. So yeah, 32.3 sits within this range quite nicely. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's my estimate of the mean. Okay, so let's have a look at the modal class Well, the modal class is where you have group data in the same way, and because I'm not actually after a specific value, because I don't know what the value is, I have to say the modal class. It's the group that I'm after rather than a specific number. Well, the mode is the one that appears most often, which is the most common. So in terms of what answer was most common, well, I don't know because I don't have all the values, but I can see from this one here, well, between 30 and 40, more people than anywhere else got between 30 and 40. All right, so my answer is going to be between 30 and 40 is the highest frequency, the most common. Okay. What about the median then? Well, the median is the one that appears in the middle. All right. So again, the same kind of idea is I don't know the exact values of all of it, but I'm trying to find the one that would appear in the middle. All right. So what I've got to do is, so how many have I got? Well, how many have I got in total? If you remember, it was 100 if I remember right. So I've got 100 in total. So I am after the one that appears around about the 50th or 50th and a half exactly, which is the middle. So if you're not quite sure why I'm doing this process, then you probably want to look at a lesson on median averages. The idea is if you've got an even number, then the middle number isn't the 50th, or as much as you would think it would be. It would be between the 50th and 51st. All right, the 50 and a half. All right, but by all means, you want to check that out, and that's absolutely right because you're going to have 50 on one side, 50 on the other, and the thing that fits in the middle is the halfway value in between. Okay, you can't see me move my hands, but effectively that's what I'm doing with my two hands. I'm separating two 50s and thinking, well, what goes in the middle of those two? All right, well, the 50 and a half, effectively. All right, between the 50th and 51st. Anyway, so to figure out where the median is, or the median class, we're trying to find out where that value would actually fall. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to count up as we go. Right, so the first 5 is obviously 0 to 10. We're then going to add another 16 onto that. So my first 21 are between 0 and 20. It's a bit like cumulative frequency, isn't it? When I go to the next one, if I add another 21, so between 0 here and 30, I've got 42. All right, so I'm up to 42 numbers at this point, if we're writing them all in order. And then when I get to the next one, between 30 and 40, well, that was going to take me up to 74. So between these two numbers, I've reached the 50th and a half. I've kind of surpassed it. All right, so it wasn't in between 0 and 30 when I got to 42, but it has appeared in the 32 to 40s. So it's somewhere in here. All right, and because I don't know what the actual value is, all I can answer is in the median class. All right, so the median class would be somewhere between 30 and 40. And if you think about everything you've done so far in terms of averages, well, my average from the first one was rough in there, and my average from the second was in there, so it's not surprising the middle value is going to be in there as well. All right, so the median class is between 30 and 40. Okay, by all means, please do visit maths-school.co.uk, link at the bottom of the page for you to kind of go away and practice. All right, but that's it from me. Thanks for listening.